So, yes, of course, financial services, government, oil and gas, defense contractors, but now other more lucrative industry-specific sectors are being targeted. And the final one, which we won't sort of harp on about, is regulation. Government reaction to all of this cybersecurity concern is to increase regulation, to try and gain a modicum of control, and to start to, in a post-Snowden era, erect barriers to digital trade, and we'll touch on that later on. If I think about the major parts, so if we take our jobs to their absolute abstracted level, users need to create value by accessing and changing data, and we use infrastructure and applications to do that. Actually, the shorter we can make that process between the user and the data, the better it is for our organizations. So that's the key part of the conundrum we face. That's the key enabling bit of security. If we think about the protecting part of security, it's actually about all four. And if I were to give an objective benchmark-based maturity view of how well we do this, we do pretty well in infrastructure. We understand how networks work, we understand how data centers work, even if they're on-premise or hybrid. We understand how different devices access our networks. There's some stuff there. We're getting okay, actually, at applications. Most organizations have two types of applications. They have some big legacy class applications they're happy with. They've developed over time, they understand how they work. And we're now starting to throw out of the back of a conveyor belt lots of small mobile and agile applications we're less comfortable with. But even so, we're relatively mature at an application space. What we aren't any good at whatsoever is the people-centric security and the data-centric security. What we're not able to do is transition beyond a horrible character-based password authentication method, even if you use, multi-factor, those kind of elements. As we're in that interconnected, hyper-connected mobile world, a password is not going to be the way to understand behavior, continuous authentication and assessment across different devices. We can't track user behavior. We can track when a user enters and leaves a part of our infrastructure. That's no way to carry on, and it won't help us in the future. And neither can we do those kind of things around data. We're very unsophisticated in how we protect data, and this isn't just about encrypting it or recognizing when it's left the building. So those two areas, I think, are signposts for what we need to do, and we need to be able to develop the capabilities to do that. And if we could take every centers around the world and 5,000 security professionals, gives us this insight. And we've been running research for over 10 years now that show us that. So if I pull all this back together for a couple of key points that I think are going to give us cause for concern in the next 5 or 6 years, those big disruptive trends that are going to be true, which we'll have to address if we're running a 3-year budget planning cycle. I think the first is pretty clear. We've talked about this. The nature of our information as individuals and professionals and organizations is going to become much more pervasive and accessible to cyber criminals as it becomes for ourselves. So a pervasive digital fingerprint is something that is going to be vital that we address and vital that we start to build upon as a cornerstone of the people-centric security element. The second piece, a combination of new styles of technology. So yes, it's the driverless car that takes you to work, that informs you halfway there that your dry cleaning needs picking up or could be picked up. But by rerouting your, around that and some traffic, it makes you 5 minutes late for your meeting. And would you like your cloud concierge service to coordinate all of those things, those sensors, those connected devices, the cars, your service provider at the dry cleaners, to then inform the people coming to your meeting you'll be 5 minutes late. Now, aggregation of an Internet of Things environment using your personal data as a hub is going to change how we deal with security. And at the moment, there are no standards. There's no even starting point for us to allow us to do that. A huge disruptive trend that's going to cause another one.